This is the most requested video from my comment section. So I'll be dedicating this entire video to explain to you guys how to take valid inducement in the market or proper inducement in the market, right? So before we start, obviously there are hundreds of trading gurus explaining how to take proper inducement. So pretty much 99% of those information is completely useless. They are improper. So what I want you guys to do is, whatever I'm teaching to you guys in this video, I want you to take this and whatever you are using right now, or you might have learned from these trading gurus or trading courses or something, I want you guys to compare whatever I'm saying and whatever they are saying in the market. Apply them in the market, right? Then you'll see the results, right? All right. So make this the first and last video you watch regarding inducement in SMC concepts. Let's get to the topic. We have two structures right here. Which one of these two structures have a valid proper inducement in the market according to SMC? You can obviously pause the video and take a guess, but the answer is none of these two structures have a valid inducement present in them. So when you look at the right side, BOS happened right here. The price went a little bit up and then it just kept on coming down, right? Obviously it broke this low, it even took this high, and once again it broke this low, right? But when you see after BOS, you can always draw a line in the market separating the left side of the structure from the right side of the structure. Whatever is happening in the right side of the structure, none of this should be considered as a valid inducement, right? So this structure is outright false. There is no inducement right here. But one thing you can learn is, obviously you can take these things as some liquidity grabs, or you can say liquidity hunts, whatever you want to call them. Obviously these are liquidity hunts. So the market is accumulating liquidity here and it's hunting them, right? But this is not valid inducement. Okay. So now coming to the left side, this is the top point after breakout structure. So when we draw a line, this is the left side of the structure and this is the right side, right? The market has only taken this low, which is in the left side. But why am I saying that? This is invalid inducement. So this is also pretty much the same as this one. This is just a liquidity hunt or a liquidity grab, right? So this is not a valid inducement, just market hunting liquidity. So what's the reason? The reason is this low formed before BOS happened in the structure, right? So whatever happens within BOS, whatever the structure does, it doesn't matter if it goes in circles or squares, it doesn't matter. When the market comes back and takes them, we should only consider them as liquidity hunt, right? We should not consider them as inducement in the market. Okay, so now you know the mistakes pretty much 99% of the traders, retail traders are making. Now you will learn how to take valid inducement in the market. So the structure is exactly the same. The market is an uptrend. But the only catch is, instead of the breakout structure happening right here, it should happen before the market gives any pullback. So we already learned that when the BOS happens right here and this structure has formed before the BOS, when the market takes this, we only consider this as liquidity hunt. This is not an inducement, right? Okay. So only thing you should look for in the market is the BOS should happen before this entire structure has formed in the market, right? So let me say this once again. The market is going up. The market has given the breakout structure for the previous structure, and then it's forming a new minor structure right here. So once the market takes this low, this can be considered as a valid, proper, strong inducement in the market. So you should not complicate this too much. As a matter of fact, what is inducement? What is inducement actually in the market? It is just liquidity, right? But inducement, a valid inducement, has the most high amount of liquidity in the market. So whenever this happens in the market, and whenever this happens in your structure you are currently trading, you have the best chance of this structure following its trend. So in this case, this structure is an uptrend, right? So there is very high probability once the market gives inducement, this is going to follow this trend, which is uptrend. So that is how we use valid inducement in the market. You will understand this much better when I explain with live market examples, but this is the key. This is the valid inducement, not this, and most importantly, nothing happening in the right side of the market, right? Okay, so now you know the textbook example of valid inducement. Let's look at some examples in the market. I will show you guys a picture perfect example on how you should use the inducement concept we just learned every single day in the market. Right, if you see here, the market is clearly in a downtrend. We got our recent downward breakout structure right here, and once the market broke that structure, the trend changed from downtrend, and now the market is in uptrend. So this must be clear. So the first thing you should look for every single time when you trade is the current structure you are trading in the market. So in this case, this is the current structure we are trading in the market. So this should be, you should be very sure about this. There should be no confusions regarding this. So the second thing is, where did the breakout structure happen? The BOS happened right here. This is the point where the market broke this structure, right? Okay. So after BOS, the market gave us a slight movement to the upside. The market accumulated a very strong pullback liquidity right here. So after BOS, the market gave us a slight pullback, and then once again this small minor high was broken by the market, right? So if you see closely, this pullback is not too big, too deep like this, and at the same time it's not too shallow and minor like this. This is a very valid example on how you should take inducement in the market. The pullback is just the correct size. So the market gave us a valid pullback, and then once it broke this high and then again broke this low, this is the point where you consider that the structure has given you a valid inducement in the market. So this is a very high liquidity zone. So at the end of the time, at the end of the day, what is inducement, right? It's nothing but very high liquidity hunt or a very high strong liquidity sweep in the market. So when this happens, the probability that the uptrend will once again continue and once again this structure's high will be broken increases tremendously. So whenever the market gives you a valid inducement like this, you can be sure and you can confidently trade the order blocks and your point of interest in this current structure, hoping that this current structure's high will be broken eventually by the market. So this is how you use inducement effectively every single day. So you should not be confused. Like I said, finding the point where breakout structure happened is the second crucial step. Like I mentioned before, whatever happens before breakout structure, any pullbacks, any movements before breakout structure, all these movements doesn't amount to valid inducement in the market. So you should not mark this and consider this as valid inducement. And the reason is this happened before break of structure, right? This can be considered as a liquidity sweep or a liquidity hunt, but not a valid inducement. So now let's look at this structure. So if you see here, the market gave us a valid inducement, gave us a strong pullback for this current structure, went up and then broke this structure. So this is now our current structure. This is the structure we will be using to trade. Now let's go here. This is the point of breakout structure. So if you see closely, the market hasn't given us a candle close. The candle close only happened right here. So this is the point where breakout structure actually happened in the market. Alright, so you should always pay close attention to these minute details in the market. There is no BOS right here, only a sweep. The real BOS happen right here. Alright, okay. So if you see here, the market once again after BOS gave us a slight movement to the upside, gave us a deep valid pullback to the downside, took this high, went up and took this high, and then when the market takes this valid low, this can be considered as a valid inducement. This is the only example for valid inducement. I will tell you guys again and again, this should happen after breakout structure. This pullback should happen after this breakout structure. And none of these things here should be considered as a proper or a valid inducement, right? Okay, so if you see here, the same thing happens over and over again in the market. This is the current structure. The market gave us a valid inducement, and we can mark our valid order blocks right here, all these things, and we can trade this current structure. But in this case, we got a valid inducement, and then the market gave us a breakout structure after giving us a deep pullback. So now this should be considered as our current structure, right? So this is the end of the current structure, the swing low of this current structure. The BOS happened right here. We get a candle close. So now we will be trading this structure. So the same thing happens every single time, over and over again as a cycle. So if you see here, the same thing happens once again. The breakout structure point is right here. The market went up, gave us a good valid pullback, and then the market took this high. And when the market comes down and once again takes this low, obviously this is also once again a valid inducement in the market. So now there is very strong chances that the market will once again take this high. So that's what exactly has happened. The market came down, reacted, took all the liquidity here, went up, gave you a breakout structure. So guys, this is the same thing that happens again and again, but you should note one important thing. After the BOS right here, I marked this as BOS because this is only a liquidity sweep. There is no candle close here. We got candle close right here, right? Okay, so this is the swing low. And why did the market take the swing low? What's the reason? The reason is very simple. After BOS, when the market comes down, there is no inducement left to the left side of the market. We discussed this already. This is the left side, this is the right side, right? So I'll draw this once again. This is the left side and this is the right side. There is no inducement present in the left side of the market, which happened after break of structure. So after break of structure, if the market forms something like this, took this high, and once again if this comes down and takes this low, this can be taken as a proper and a valid inducement. But in this case, the market did not give us a valid pullback after breakout structure. So there is no valid inducement present in this entire current structure. So what happens? The market takes this entire structure as an inducement. That's the reason the market comes all the way down here and then hunts this swing low of the structure. So according to this structure, this entire structure can be taken as an inducement, right? So this is how you can predict whether the current structure is strong or weak. So there is no inducement here. So when you trade order blocks, mark all your order blocks, and when you trade this structure, obviously you will get, at least you will get stopped out 2 or 3 times, right? So inducement is a very crucial, very important concept. You use inducement for every single structure you are trading in, right? So go ahead and practice this once again. If you didn't understand this, watch this video once again, right? If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Like I said, compare what I taught you guys in this video to what other people teach you or other people say regarding inducement, right? Okay, so I wish you guys success in your trading journey. Most importantly, I wish you peace. See you in the next one.